Good morning, everybody. How's my YouTube family doing? Today, I would like to share a story that is from my youth when my dad purchased an old dually truck and he took the cab, he removed the cab and he removed the back part of the truck, the body, and he made a flatbed behind the cab using 2x8s or 4x8s or some kind of wood that was very, very sturdy. And he used angle iron to hold the bench seat in place. So when you climbed up onto the truck, it was just open air. You had a steering wheel to hang on to. That was it. And what we used it for was to go down an old logging road and gather wood for our fireplaces. Well, I would say I was 14 and a little bit too big for my britches. So one day, excuse me, one day nobody was at home. And I decided I was going to take this logging truck for a ride. I was going to drive it. My feet reached the pedals, and it didn't have a key start to it. What it had was a round pedal on the floor that you pushed, and that's what started the truck. And of course, it was not an automatic. It was a straight drive. And as I mentioned, it had dually wheels on the back of it so that it could come in and out of the wooded areas without getting stuck, having a heavy load of wood on the back. So we had this nice long driveway that was just being created because we were just setting up the mobile home way back in my grandfather's field. My dad wanted it set off the road so that animals didn't get hit by cars or anything like that, because we had several dogs and a couple of cats, and he had intentions of getting some cows. I had a horse, so he wanted it set way back behind my grandfather's garden. And all they had done with this driveway up to this point was they graded it off, graded the topsoil off, and they were in the process of putting gravel down. And they had to run the water lines. I'm thinking well, now that I think about it, I don't know why the ditch was there. But there was a 4-foot ditch on the right-hand side of the driveway that my dad had dug out with a backhoe. And I don't remember the reason for that because we had a well on the property. Anyway, back to the story. That's little details so you can kind of picture what I'm doing with the truck. Well, nobody was home. I'm bored. So I decide I'm going to drive this truck down into the Christmas tree farm that was across the road, semi across the road. So I'm all big and brave, and I get the truck started, and I'm driving on down the driveway, and that was a success. So I'm getting really confident about what I'm doing with this driving thing. And the only thing I have to hang on to is a steering wheel, because there's no doors, there's no cab, there's no nothing. It's just open air driving this truck. And I go down into the pathway, roadway, for the Christmas tree farm. And I'm probably a half a mile in, and I'm going downhill, and it's becoming rocky. In New Hampshire, you have granite, so there's quite a bit of granite on the surface of the road. And then all of a sudden, this truck sinks into a bog up to the axles. And I'm not supposed to be on this truck. I'm not supposed to be anywhere near this truck. So so I'm thinking, oh no, I'm going to get in so much trouble. Well, I work for 2 hours, and I'm getting logs, and I'm putting them under the back wheels, and anything I could find, rocks, logs, whatever. But I work and I work and I work, and I finally get this truck unstuck. Okay, so no harm, no foul in my brain. I'm thinking, boy, okay, I got away with this. And having tempted fate beyond fate, because I was able to get the truck out, I decided I better head home before something else happens. So I back all the way up. No place to turn around in this road that goes down into the woods to the Christmas tree farm. There's no place to turn around, so I back it all the way up to the road, and I get turned around, and I head down my driveway. Well, if you're familiar with a lot of winters, with a lot of snow, and springtime, it does become mud season. And our new little driveway that was cut in, it was not in good shape. You couldn't walk down the driveway. My dad had to put planks on the side of the driveway so that we could walk on these planks to get out to the end of the road. So I turned down the driveway, and I'm thinking, whoa, I got away with this, and I'm having a fun day. And all of a sudden, the mud grabs the front wheels of this truck and pulls me into this 4-foot ditch. So the truck is sitting sideways and cattywampus with the front wheels in the ditch, and the back wheels on the driver's side were up in the air, but the back wheels on the passenger side were kind of on the ground. But I was stuck. I wasn't moving. Excuse me. There is no way in the world I'm going to move this truck now. So I'm thinking, what am I going to do? Oh my goodness. What am I going to do before my parents get home? I'm going to be in so much trouble. So I call my uncle, my dad's younger brother. And I'm like, Jack, do you have a tractor? And he says, yeah. I said, well, please, do you have time to bring the tractor over to Dad's house and pull this logging truck out of the ditch? And of course, Jack said yes, because I had never asked for anything from him before. And was he going to tell this 13-year-old girl? No. So here he comes with his tractor. Boop, 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 boop. Bounces down the road. Hooks onto the truck. Pulls the truck out. And I'm thinking, oh, yeah, okay. So of course, it's covered in mud. I never thought of that. It wasn't covered in mud when I started driving. But I'm just so thankful to my Uncle Jack. And I asked him to please don't say anything to Dad. I'm just going to park it back behind the house where it was, because I wasn't supposed to be driving it. So of course he said, all right, I won't say anything. Well, I'm thinking I'm out of the woods. I'm clear in my little brain. I had gotten away with something I shouldn't have done. And I parked the truck, backed it up where it was, right in the exact same spot, turned the motor off, went into the house and acted like I was completely innocent. Well, in a child's mind, that's what happened. In an adult's mind, with my uncle, he kind of relayed the information of what happened to my dad, along with the fact that when my dad went out to start the truck the next time he wanted to use it, the front end tie rods had been bent. So my dad was kind of an easygoing guy. And he comes into the house and he's sitting at the kitchen table with his cup of coffee, and he says, "Rob," because he used to call me Rob. "Rob, do you know anything about this truck out here?" And of course I'm like, "What truck? I don't know anything about a truck." So he says, "Well, it has an awful lot of mud on it. I don't think it had any mud on it the last time I drove it. It was pretty dry down in those woods." So I'm sweating at this point, thinking, man, I'm going to get in trouble. So I finally fessed up. "Yeah, Dad, I drove the truck." And he said, "Well, what happened to the truck?" And so I told him the story about getting stuck down in the Christmas tree farm in a bog and having to work for 2 hours to get it out, and then getting stuck in the driveway. I fessed up to it. And bless my dad's heart, he never said another word. All he did is he said, "Don't do it again. That's too dangerous for you to be doing." And about a week later, the truck disappeared from the driveway, never to be seen again. So apparently my dad was going to make sure that Robin was never tempted to drive that darn thing again. So I hope you enjoyed this little story down memory lane. And I'm not wearing my glasses because there was a terrible reflection from the lights in the room. I didn't want you to have to deal with the reflection of the lights. But I thank you for stopping by and enjoying this little chat with me. And I hope you have a great day. Until the next video, see you later.